Man, I really don't think there are any other bigger grifters than people on the Democrat Party. When their whole party implodes, they lie about the president of the United States and things going on within the administration. When they lie about that for years, after Donald Trump gets elected, all of a sudden, they act as if they were simply victims of all of these things that were going on. They just didn't notice any of it. They write books, they go on talks. Jake Tapper writes a book. He's going on news stations talking about how crazy it is that nobody knew about Joe Biden's downfall or Joe Biden's lack of cognitive function due to most likely his age and maybe some other factors. But the latest grifter I would like to talk about here, ex-White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Yes, the French lady, the black French lady. She claims she's no longer a Democrat because now it's not very popular to be a Democrat. The ratings for Democrats, the approval ratings, are at all-time lows. Last time I checked, I think it was in the low 20s, which still seems kind of high for me. But she's leaving the Democrat Party. She's becoming independent. And now she is also hyping a memoir of the broken Biden administration. Don't you just love it? Isn't it just hilarious? But Joe Biden's longtime White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, announced Wednesday she has left the Democrat Party and is writing a tell-all book about the broken administration she served. So how many of you are going to be buying this book and reading about it, reading the book at least, to get some information, some inside information into the Joe Biden administration? I personally won't be reading it. I have probably about as much faith in the facts in that book as I do watching MSNBC in any day. So not very much. Jean-Pierre, 50, worked as Biden's top spokeswoman for 2 years and 8 months and stunned fellow White House alums by announcing the looming release of Independent, a look inside a broken White House outside of the party lines. And it's coming out on October the 21st. So mark your calendars. And it's also very interesting how prior to the Biden administration, everyone had blinders on. You know, they couldn't see any of what was going on in the Biden administration that was happening right in front of their eyes. You know, Biden not being able to talk, walk upstairs, walk downstairs, falling off of bikes, and there just being a general sense of there's something wrong here. They don't have not just that fifth sense, but apparently they don't have eyes. You know, have you ever heard of the term selective hearing? You know, some of you might have wives or husbands, and you might accuse them of having selective hearing. Well, in this case, it's very similar, except it's selective seeing with people that are liberal. They had very selective seeing when it relates to what was going on in the Biden administration. Quote, Jean-Pierre didn't come to her decision to be an independent lightly. Yes, it was... It was a very long thought out process after everyone has begun to hate and distrust and despise the Democrat Party for being just all out untrustworthy individuals. So it wasn't lightly. This came from Hatchet Book Group in a promotional release, which hints she may focus her ire on figures aside from Biden in the account. Continuing the quote, she has served 2 American presidents, Obama and Biden. She takes us through the 3 weeks that led to Biden's abandoning his bid for a second term and the betrayal by the Democratic Party that led to his decision. The tease goes. In a hard-hitting yet hopeful critique, Jean-Pierre defines what it means to be part of the growing percentage of our fractured electorate that is independent, why it can be worthwhile to carve a political space more loyal to personal beliefs and a party affiliation, and what happens and what questions you need to ask yourself to determine where you fit politically. So Jean-Pierre is doing some soul searching. She's looking deep inside herself, and she's like, you know what? Maybe it is important to have some standards. Maybe it is important to have some ethics, like maybe not standing in front of a podium and lying to all of America when, you know, especially in this situation, everyone could clearly see that you're lying, not just through your words and what they had seen going on in the Biden administration, just based off of news clipping, but also in your very own face. There's this popular term, and I've used it before. It's a BS face. You know, when someone's clearly lying and you know they're lying, but they have this face that kind of betrays that they are lying, even though they are lying. That's what Karine Jean-Pierre's face would betray every time she got in front of that podium to make an announcement or answer questions for the Biden administration. Biden stood by Jean-Pierre amid criticism by detractors and rivals inside the administration who viewed her as ineloquent and often unprepared. Honestly, you know, you could criticize her for, you know, maybe being not eloquent and unprepared and all these other things. And maybe she's not the most eloquent and prepared person that ever stood in front of that podium or behind that podium, however you want to put it. But I mean, come on, she had to defend the Biden administration. I'm sure she was under a lot of pressure to say the things that she said and to somehow justify what was going on in front of or inside the Biden administration. So, I mean, I got to give her a little grace. Like, when your job is to do that, I don't think anyone really could be very eloquent. You know, there might have been some people that could have done a little better job than Karine Jean-Pierre. Maybe had a better poker face, but in all respects, it was a very tough job to do if you are, you know, deciding that you were going to defend something like that and not let the American people not let them know exactly what is happening in the Biden administration. When you have to go behind the podium and lie every single time about concerns over Joe Biden's health, pretend like everything is normal. It's going to be hard to do that. Quote, I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. Karine Jean-Pierre said in an Instagram post Wednesday, this book, Independent, is about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. So, yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Karine Jean-Pierre is officially selling a book. The grift continues. She is hopping on the Jake Tapper train. She is, at least from what I understand, the second one to have released a book so far. I would not be surprised if there were many other books to come. And, you know, it's just pretty incredible to watch. The Democrat Party, the implosion. And then they claim that they were just simply victims of the narrative coming out of the White House when herself, she was part of the White House. Jake Tapper, he had a direct line to the White House. He worked in newsrooms. He saw all the videos and information coming from the White House. So he has no excuse, but he's pretending like he was a victim of false information. You know, so that basically means that us as just regular American people, when we watch what's going on with the Biden White House, we are not just smarter, but we're able to discern facts versus fiction and BS versus reality a lot better than these news people. So maybe it should be some of you in front of the cameras telling the American people what is going on in the White House. I think that'd be a lot more trustworthy. Get all of these rich, liberal, elite types that just kind of circulate in these big cities that benefit from being in the inner circle. Get them out and let's put regular people in the newsrooms. Let's do that. Some people who are just no BS. Some people that just call it like they see it. I would much prefer that. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Karine Jean-Pierre's new book? Are you going to be watching, or are you going to be reading it rather? What do you think is going to be in it? And do you think she really spent a lot of time soul searching to become an independent? Or do you think it's just not popular anymore? Do you think the Democrat Party have ruined their brand so much that even these diehard liberal Democrat types are like, ugh, I got to distance myself from that? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. But until then, I'll see you on the next one.